Just minutes away from the initiation by computer command of the first roll reversal to the left. The initiation of a series of maneuvers to bleed off excess energy as the shuttle approaches its landing site. Atlantis' astronauts now feeling the effects of gravity. Here in the flight control room, Flight Director Brian Lunny and his team of flight controllers watching. You can see the ground track generated by real-time data from Atlantis on the front screen here in the shuttle flight control room. Atlantis 25 minutes from its touchdown on runway 15 at the Kennedy Space Center. All systems in good shape. No issues for the flight control team. Very quiet here in the shuttle flight control room. Just 13 minutes away from an acquisition of signal through the Merritt Island tracking station near the Kennedy Space Center. It is through Mila, as the ground station is called, that navigational data will be processed in the final phase of Atlantis' approach to runway 15. Atlantis now in the roll command to the left, about an 80-degree roll, as it begins its series of maneuvers to dissipate excess velocity approaching the landing site. Time to touchdown, 23.5 minutes. This banking motion increases the drag on the orbiter and drives the vehicle off course. It will then reverse its path, banking back to the right to converge back on course, resulting in a curved ground track.
We copy, Atlantis. Thanks.
Atlantis now 44 miles in altitude, traveling at 15,000 miles an hour, dead on, right on the ground track for the Kennedy Space Center.
Houston, Atlantis, just want to confirm after all the radiator discussion, we are going to do the Mach 12 steps as written, is that correct?
That's affirmative, Atlantis.
All right, thanks, Mash.
Atlantis nearing Central America.
Houston, Atlantis, what are you showing as the predicted touchdown time in MET?
Atlantis, we're showing an MET of 18:21:40.
1821, thanks.
Atlantis's descent rate beginning to level off a bit, now descending at about 95 feet per second. 43 miles in altitude, time to touchdown 19 minutes. In just a few minutes, Atlantis' onboard computers will command it into the next roll reversal from left to right, once again dissipating excess velocity as it begins its trek soon over the Gulf of Mexico. Less than 17 minutes from touchdown, Atlantis now crossing over Central America. Within minutes, Atlantis will be passing just to the east of the Yucatan Peninsula over the Caribbean Sea and then back out over the Gulf of Mexico to pass to the west of the island of Cuba, heading toward Florida. Atlantis now 900 nautical miles away from the Kennedy Space Center, traveling 17 times the speed of sound at an altitude of 38 statute miles. Atlantis now in its first roll reversal, orienting itself from left to right. 64-degree roll that will continue to dissipate excess energy.
Surface winds.
Go ahead, Mash.
Latest report, Steve, is 330 at 4, peak 6.
Atlantis now passing to the west of the island of Cuba. Time to touchdown 13 minutes. Atlantis just 600 miles away from its landing site at the Kennedy Space Center. 33 miles in altitude, traveling 12 times the speed of sound. We're coming up on acquisition of signal through the Merritt Island tracking station near the Kennedy Space Center. That's where navigational data will be processed through to be uplinked to the orbiter's general purpose computers that will also use the global positioning system in order to provide the most accurate data for the final phase of entry and landing.
Houston, do you like to tack hands in the GPS?
Atlantis, Houston, you can take tack hands.
10 minutes from touchdown, the TACANs are the tactical air navigation aids aboard the orbiter that process range, elevation, and bearing from radio beacons located at the landing site, processing that data through the general purpose computers to provide the latest information for the guidance, navigation, and control officer here in Mission Control. Atlantis now approaching Fort Myers, Florida.
Atlantis, energy, ground track, and nav are go. Touchdown 2,500 feet at 195.
Houston, Atlantis, we copy all. Thanks, Nash. And do you have any update on the speed brake setting at 3K?
One five, Steve.
Okay, copy.
Clear skies, light winds, about to greet Atlantis, 9.5 minutes from touchdown. Everything in good shape. Less than 200 miles to the landing site for Atlantis and its 7 crew members. Long-range tracking cameras at the Kennedy Space Center now showing the first faint views of the shuttle Atlantis. 8 minutes from touchdown. Range to touchdown 127 statute miles. Atlantis 20 miles in altitude. All systems in excellent shape.
Atlantis, Houston, take air data.
Houston, Atlantis, will take air data.
2 air data probes on the left and right sides of Atlantis' nose now using atmospheric pressure data to update onboard information about its altitude. Atlantis now approaching the heading alignment circle. Time to touchdown 6 minutes. Atlantis 14 miles in altitude, range to touchdown 70 miles.
Atlantis, Houston, you're on energy approaching the hack. No changes to winds or weather. Nominal shoot.
Houston, Atlantis, we copy all mash, nominal shoot deploy.
Atlantis preparing to go subsonic. 4.5 minutes till touchdown. Commander Steve Frick now has taken over manual control, flying Atlantis around the heading alignment circle. Twin sonic booms heralding Atlantis' arrival at the Florida spaceport. This view now out of the heads-up display, the pilot point of view camera. Alan Poindexter, the pilot, now taking a turn at the stick.
Atlantis, on at the 180.
Copy, on at the 180.
Commander Steve Frick has taken the stick back, executing an overhead left-hand turn to align Atlantis with runway 15 at the Kennedy Space Center, the northwest to southeast approach.
Atlantis, on at the 90.
Copy, on at the 90.
Runway should be in sight momentarily.
Houston, Atlantis, runway's in sight.
Copy, field in sight, Atlantis.
Punching through a deck of clouds at about 11,000 feet. Atlantis now aligned with runway 15. Commander Steve Frick will execute the pre-flare of Atlantis' nose. Landing gear down and locked. Main gear touchdown. Poindexter now deploying the drag chute. Nose gear touchdown. Atlantis rolling out on runway 15 at the Kennedy Space Center, wrapping up a 5.3 million mile mission to expand the global village of space. Dan Tawney, home after 120 days in orbit.
We appreciate all the great help and support from the folks here at Kennedy and at all over NASA, and especially at Johnson Space Center and Mission Control for keeping us safe when we're airborne and bringing us safely home.
We really appreciate those words, Steve, and we'll be with you on 5-3 when you get there.
It's clear also.
Atlantis sitting passively now on runway 15 at the Kennedy Space Center. We will have unofficial landing time breakdowns for you on the main gear, nose gear touchdowns, and the wheel stop times momentarily. The entry team of flight controllers, led by Entry Flight Director Brian Lunny, going through its post-landing checklist now. A smooth and uneventful entry and touchdown for the Shuttle Atlantis and its 7 crew members.
CT doors are coming open.
We're watching Dix.
Up on the International Space Station, Commander Peggy Whitson and flight engineers Yuri Malenchenko and Leopold Aarts watched the landing on a video feed that was uplinked to the station.
Atlantis for Steve, we'd like to get you on page 5-8 to start rad reconfig.
Okay, I'll work rad reconfig.
This is Mission Control Houston with unofficial landing times. Main gear touchdown unofficially clocked at a mission elapsed time of 12 days, 18 hours, 21 minutes, 40 seconds, or 8:07 and 10 seconds a.m. Central Time.
Doors are open. Do you need a high load test today?
Negative, Dix.
Copy, not required, thanks.
Nose gear touchdown unofficially timed at a mission elapsed time of 12 days, 18 hours, 21 minutes, and 50 seconds, or 8:07 and 20 seconds a.m. Central Time. Wheel stop unofficially logged at 12 days, 18 hours, 22 minutes, 38 seconds, 8:08 a.m. Central Time. Atlantis home at the Kennedy Space Center.
Atlantis for Steve, we saw a good rad reconfig. We're ready for ammonia act. Your controller will be Alpha Pri GPC.
Okay, thanks, Mash. Alpha Pri GPC.
That's a good readback.
Houston, Atlantis, the RJDs are off, the side hatch, the drag chute, and the landing gear are safe.
We copy, Steve. Thanks.
Houston, do we have a go to the standby? Houston, do we have a go for the Ops 9 transition?
Atlanta, standby 1. We're talking. Atlantis for Steve, we are go for Ops 9.
Okay, going to Ops 9.
This is Mission Control Houston. The entry team of flight controllers watching as Atlantis' astronauts run through their post-landing procedures, positioning the body flap in preparation for the shutdown of the auxiliary power units.
Ready for that, Dex?
Before long, the convoy team at the Kennedy Space Center will begin the work to hook up cooling to the orbiter as the astronauts begin to doff their launch and entry suits and prepare to leave the vehicle once the crew transport vehicle pulls alongside the side hatch of Atlantis. Later today, as you heard earlier, Atlantis will be towed off of the shuttle landing facility to its orbiter processing facility hangar, where preparations will begin for its next flight, targeted for launch August 28th, and the final mission to service the Hubble Space Telescope.
PCS deactivation.
We're ready, Steve.
Houston, Atlantis, PCS act and GPS power down are complete.
We copy, Steve, and you have a go for extended power up.
Copy, go for extended power up. I'm going to put the MBAT in for Ops 9, but I'll wait until Dex is done before I go there.
That sounds great.
Houston, Atlantis, if you're ready, we'll shut down the APUs.
Dex, we're ready for APU shutdown.
Pilot Alan Poindexter will now shut down the 3 auxiliary power units that you see in this infrared camera as they continue to operate, with Atlantis sitting on runway 15 at the Kennedy Space Center. That is normal venting of the APUs. They again will be shut down momentarily.
Atlantis, you are go to doff suits.
Copy, go to doff suits. Houston, we have the single G9 MBAT in. Do we have a go for Ops 901 Pro for the restring?
We are ready for the restring, Steve.
Houston, Atlantis, we're going to put GPC power down in work.
We're watching Atlantis.
And Houston, post-landing MPS reconfig is in work also.
Thanks, Dex. Booster's watching.
Atlantis. We're going to move the vent doors.
Dex, you got to go for vent door purge positioning as well as RCS ohms valve test when you get there. No deltas.
Copy, no deltas. And Houston, here comes the airlock reset.
Copy, Steve. Thanks.
This is Mission Control Houston. All 3 auxiliary power units have been shut down on Atlantis, and with that, the crew transport vehicle moving alongside the side hatch of the orbiter as the crew will begin to remove their launch and entry suits, get into more comfortable clothing, and then eventually make their way into the crew transport vehicle.